You would expect a country like the US that's promoted democracy in several countries around the world to nail democracy in its country, right? Well, not quite. Now, picture this. Two men, a woman, racial oppression, and a surprise guest, a salamander, who together shaped and changed US voting democracy and election politics forever. Pretty interesting lineup, right? Okay, but on a serious note, how did they do it? Well, I'm Abdul Hai, and this is Bite Size, where we try to break down the complex into digestible pieces. And today, we'll try breaking down political manipulation in the US and the mathematical tool known as gerrymandering. So, what is gerrymandering? Well, in the US, district maps in each state are redrawn every 10 years after each census to adjust for population changes. This is called redistricting, and it is meant to ensure that each district has a similar number of people so that every vote carries roughly the same weight, and so that each area gets fair representation in Congress. Now, depending on the state, districts are drawn by partisan or independent commissions, state courts, or through bipartisan efforts. Everything sounds legit so far, right? Actually not. Why? Well, because some politicians found a loophole in the system allowing them to rig the map drawing in their favor and to give their parties a stronger advantage in elections. And that is called gerrymandering. But how was this term coined? Well, the year was 1812 when Governor Elbridge Gerry of Massachusetts signed a bill that redistricted the state to benefit his party. One of the districts ended up becoming so oddly shaped that it looked like a salamander. Some frustrated people from opposition parties devised a portmanteau combining his name, Gerry, and a salamander, and voila, gerrymander.
It's gerrymander, gerrymander, gerrymander.
So how is gerrymandering actually done? Well, there are two commonly used tactics, packing and cracking. Here's what it looks like on maps. Let's say Party A, represented in blue, controls the state. They want to weaken Party B's influence, represented in red. In a district where most voters support Party B, Party A cracks the area into different districts, usually where Party A is stronger. Now, Party B's voters are outnumbered in each one, losing their collective strength. This is called cracking. Next, Party A might use packing. They cram as many Party B voters as possible into a single district, sometimes very oddly shaped. Party B may have won big there, but its influence is minimized in other districts. Now, these tactics allow Party A to maximize its power while limiting Party B's representation, even though the map may look fair on the surface. Gotta admit it, man. Whoever thought this up, genius, my guy. Democracy in its most pristine form. Remember this fella from earlier? This is Tom Hofeller, the Republican redistricting strategist who mastered packing gerrymandering in North Carolina in 2011, when he drew a map that packed Democrats and Black Americans in concentrated districts, giving Republicans a landslide 4-9 win in 2012 in the historically evenly split state. Well, his infamous map was later deemed unconstitutional by the federal court in 2016. Now, this is what Hofeller once said about democracy unprovoked.
Of course, redistricting is democracy at work. Redistricting is like an election in reverse. It's a great event. Usually the voters get to pick the politicians. In redistricting, the politicians get to pick the voters.
Bruv, that is wild. Moving on. After Hofeller died in 2018, his daughter Stephanie Hofeller, the woman from the lineup I mentioned earlier, was told to hand over her father's hard drives and share them with political watchdog group Common Cause. One of these hard drives was proof of the late strategist's nefarious activities, including several files and gerrymandered maps that favored Republicans. One of the files also revealed the late Hofeller's role in pushing for the inclusion of a citizenship question on the 2020 census, aiming to further advantage Republicans and non-Hispanic whites. The extended coat. Now, in 2019, after mounting pressure on the US Supreme Court regarding gerrymandering practices in North Carolina, the court ruled that partisan gerrymandering was beyond its reach, leaving the responsibility to state courts, which are often partisan. It's like asking the fox to guard the hen house. In fact, the US's top court has repeatedly faced criticism for allowing racial gerrymandering due to its failure to address illegal redistricting effectively. A recent example is in the 2023 racial gerrymandering case against South Carolina. Activist groups challenged the state's 2022 congressional maps in the Supreme Court, accusing them of deliberately excluding black voters from a district to gain a partisan advantage. Now, despite a unanimous federal 3-judge panel recognizing racial gerrymandering in the map, the Supreme Court overruled this decision in May 2024 with a 6-3 vote effectively upholding the state's congressional map. Isn't this effectively thrashing what the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which prohibits racial discrimination in voting, was legislated for? Yeah. Who are the usual suspects of gerrymandering? Republicans or Democrats? Well, both. Because you see, in 2010, Republicans came up with the Redistricting Majority Project, REDMAP, which strategically targeted state legislative races to influence redistricting in favor of the Grand Old Party. Democrats countered the move in 2017 with the Democratic Legislative Campaign Committee, focused on flipping state legislative seats for Democrats and influencing the redistricting process to create fairer maps. Right. So it seems both parties are keen on exploiting this convoluted loophole, and US democracy may well have more twists and turns than a weekly salamander. And that, folks, is what gerrymandering is, and how it has shaped the US politics for years.